Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is our swing state analysis on the state of Florida. So we just predicted Arizona. Arizona I rate as lean Democratic. And I'm joined by my good friend Pro Political Talk. Hi Purple.
Hey UEP, how are you?
I'm doing very well, and I'm having a Purple on because, for those of you who don't know, he lives in Florida. And is, obviously because he lives there, pretty familiar with the political climate. Now, I believe that Joe Biden is going to win the state of Florida. As of right now, that could change, and Donald Trump still has a chance in Florida. But today, I'm going to explain why I think Joe Biden is going to win Florida. So, yeah. So I'm going to start by analyzing, and I'll let Purple analyze this. But wait, so can you see the map of Florida?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so let's talk about actually. I'm gonna pull this up on Wikipedia so we can compare to 2012 because Obama won the state by I think 3 points. Oh, by 1 point in 2012, and Donald Trump actually he won I think by 1.5%. Yeah, and so I'll let you analyze this map, Purple. So tell us the important parts of Florida and what helped Donald Trump secure a victory in this swing state.
So, first of all, we're going to see a couple things. So, first of all, the biggest important parts, I want you to focus on, this is Duval County, and Pinellas County, and Monroe County. These are counties that usually are the swingiest counties in Florida. So that would be making up the Florida Keys. That would be Tampa and its surrounding beach towns and stuff like that. That's a very populous area, especially amongst older voters. And then up in Jacksonville, that's where you have the more like middle class / older voter. That's a little bit more like a deep South town or of city rather than kind of a southern Florida city, which is a lot differently. So just understanding demographics in Florida is a little challenging because different groups of people vote very differently, and they don't usually vote how they usually do in other places. So I want to go down to the southern Florida counties, so the trio of both Florida counties, and Donald Trump was able to outperform a little bit what Barack Obama for what Mitt Romney did in 2012 in Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade. And he had an estate in Palm Beach County, so that must have helped. So generally speaking, we're looking at somewhat higher Latino support for the Republican Party, as well as swing districts that flipped with conservative vote.
So yeah, very good analysis, so very detailed. And I do want to clear up for those of you who don't know, Hispanics usually mean good news for the Democrats because, on average, in the midterms, three out of every four Latino voters did go for the Democratic Party, but still, 25% of them, or like a fourth of them, are going for the Republicans, and that usually happens down in southern Florida. And that's mostly because Donald Trump and the Republicans have done a very good job of associating the Democrats with socialism. And all these people, they're coming from Cuba, and they escaped from Cuba because Cuba was the bad place to live. And so they're coming here, and they're saying, I don't want to vote for the quote-unquote socialist party, and they're voting for the Republican Party down the ticket. So
yeah, that's true.
That's what happens.
So, like, generally speaking, that effect is mostly seen in the southern three counties, but there is diasporas of the Cuban and Venezuelan population, which is another big population in the state of Florida that's growing quickly, and they are another group of people that are voting a lot more Republican. And you have diasporas in Orlando. You have some, so that would be Orange and Osceola counties. And that's pretty much it, because those are the two biggest Latino hotspots in the state of Florida, with a lot of Puerto Ricans also in the Osceola and Orange counties in Florida, they tend to vote a lot. They're split on issues. The Puerto Ricans, some of them vote Republican, others vote Democrat. So the big chunk of deciding Latino vote in the state of Florida goes to the Republican Party, and that's why we've seen the state trend a lot more Republican over the years, because Democrats could rely, if this was any other state, they could rely on Florida flipping blue or being blue almost every single election. But since you have a population and diasporas of Cubans and Venezuelans, those margins of victory are not what the Democrats desire. They're actually going for the Republican Party. That's something to note. As well as very strong support for Trump in areas like the Panhandle, so that would be upper part of Florida. So you see a very lot of red, except, the capital city, which is Tallahassee, those two blue counties that are there outlying. And then all the smaller counties that you see all throughout the state that are red are somewhat rural. with like only a few exceptions that are like Collier County, which is right next to Broward County, and yeah.
Okay, so I do want to talk about some swing counties or bellwethers we can look at. So this map actually shows the percentages, so we can't compare it to 20. So we're going to compare it to 2012. I'm going to pull this tab right there. So I'm going to show you the 2012 map. And so, first of all, Hillary Clinton actually did outperform Barack Obama in one county, and that was in Jacksonville, Duval County. She lost it by 1.5%, basically 7,000 votes. Whereas Obama, he lost it by, I think, 5%. So, yeah, she did outperform, but again, this county is trending to the left overall. So had Obama ran in 2016, he probably would have actually won this county or come very, very close to winning it. I just want to talk about, I'm not sure what the name of this county is. It's Jefferson County. So this was pretty close in 2016. It was it's a small county, but Trump won it by 400 votes. If I'm reading, yeah, he won it by 400 votes. So
that county is mostly kind of a little bit of the suburbs from the areas of Tallahassee, but it also has somewhat of the deep South population in the state of Florida. So the state of Florida is not considered a southern state for many people, like the same way like Georgia is or Alabama is. But there is like a part of Florida, like after you go over Orlando, then you start getting to deep South part of Florida. So that is like one of the African American communities. And I think Andrew Gillum actually won there in 2018, if I'm correct. If not, I mean, it was a close district anyways. And going back to Duval County, so you mentioned that that race went narrowly for Trump, more narrow than it went for Mitt Romney. And the reason for that is the African American population there is increasing rapidly.
Yeah, and remember, unlike Latinos, generally black voters do always vote Democratic, like no matter where you are. But I also want to compare this, going back to I'm not sure what the name of that county is. St. Lucie County.
Lucie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Port St. Lucie, and
so I'll let you talk about that one.
So actually, this city is very interesting because I mean, or this county rather. So it's a little bit north of southern Florida. So this is what you call the like the Golden Coast of Florida. So like a little bit after Palm Beach County. So this county is a somewhat large county in Florida standards because there's a lot of rural counties, but it has a lot of white college, non-college educated vote, but as well as black vote is another big thing, and it's a larger amount of black vote in this county compared to other counties around the nation.
And I think that bodes well for Joe Biden because remember, Hillary Clinton, she only lost this by 4,000 votes, or basically 1.5%. So Joe Biden has much better, like everyone agrees on this, Joe Biden has much better appeal to the white working class than Hillary Clinton did. That's a guarantee. He also has a stronger black support than she did, although she did have pretty strong black support, and Biden's even doing better than her. And, just generally, he's outperformed her with every key demographic, and I think that's what leads to him flipping this county. Especially because...
Yeah.
No, I'll let you go, but especially because he'll be campaigning here. Because this is still like the polls put Biden ahead here, and most people have kind of a tilt in his favor, but this is still a very swingy state, and the Trump campaign cannot win without this. So you can guarantee they'll be going down here very consistently, and Joe Biden also needs this state. So I'll let you go.
So I want to talk about Orlando for a minute. So that is Orange and Osceola County. So that's Alachua, so that's Gainesville. So down here, like in Orange, says Orlando.
I see.
Those two counties, one thing to know is that Democratic turnout might be high just because of the back to normalcy. So COVID-19 has been hard hit, especially in Orlando. So Orlando is a tourist hotspot. I mean, along with Miami, that's another big tourist hotspot, especially when it comes to Latin America. And actually, like, more in Miami, but in Orlando, it's a big amount of international tourists going to Disney World, to Universal, to these many different things to do in Orlando. And those things are starting to losing profit, and people are getting laid off just because they don't have enough money to run and operate these parks or whatever else is related with tourism. So the tourism industry is down, which has caused a lot of unemployment in Osceola counties and Orange County, which really does not help the Republican Party.
Yeah, and that's and so I'm not going to pull up anything on like any tabs related to this, but Governor Ron DeSantis right now, just he's pretty unpopular. Now, he was popular before his handling of coronavirus. He's one of the more popular governors in America. But since then, he's taken a huge hit in his popularity. And that's not going to help Trump because DeSantis is a Republican. And Trump was very big on DeSantis. He campaigned for him. And, he really wanted DeSantis to win. So, turnout is a huge thing because unlike like Florida's, every single state except for Maine and Nebraska, it's like a winner-take-all system. So whoever wins the most popular votes in Florida wins. It's not like it's not like whoever wins the most county wins because there are more rural red counties. But it's the popular vote, and they need Democrats need higher turnout from Orlando in particular, and also Miami-Dade County, which I believe is the biggest county in Florida.
Yeah, that is. So I'm gonna explain to you what's a big. Looking at this map, the road looks pretty clear for the Democrats. Now they have like one major issue. So if you notice, the differences in these swing counties is ridiculous. It's like 5,000 votes. So 5,000 votes here. So overall, you can say there's like how many? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 swing counties, 40,000 votes. So I want you to go down to Miami-Dade County. So I'm just estimating because I am putting like a 5,000 vote average. But the problem that the Democrats have is that, especially in Miami-Dade, Broward, and West Palm Beach, mostly in Dade and Palm Beach, they have a huge problem with the margins. So in Miami-Dade, there's a big movement for Trump. Although there is somewhat of a large anti-Trump movement in areas like Broward County, just one county up north, in Miami-Dade County, the amount of support for Trump is outrageous. It's ridiculous. It's a lot of support. So that really does end up helping Donald Trump in this state, which, it's something that's not talked about oftenly, but this might hit. I think Donald Trump could easily hit around at least 38% in this race. So gain 4%, which, in this race, 1% is 33,000 votes. So the Democrats would win every other swing county on the map. But just losing 1% support in Miami-Dade County could hit them really hard.
And they can win Jefferson County, they can win Duval County, and they can win San Lucie County. But kind of like Purple said, that is 33,000 voters that they're losing in Miami-Dade. That would be a disaster.
Like just 1%.
Yeah, and like just 1%. And like Trump doesn't even have to do kind of like what's happening in states like Michigan. Trump only has to improve by 1% to basically secure a victory. In Michigan, Biden needs to secure 0.3%. And, so I'm not saying that Trump's going to secure 1%. In fact, I do think that Biden will outperform Clinton here. But if he does, then I can bet that the Florida will be going red this November. I also want to...
I just mentioned that because in that county specifically, so I live there and I see like a lot of different things. And the voter enthusiasm for Trump is higher than Trump. Now, is there anti-Trump movement in these cities, mostly in the urban areas? Yes, but mostly, in Florida, what really makes up most of the voters is suburban areas, suburban and rural voters. So, especially in the biggest counties, Miami-Dade and Palm Beach, a lot of the suburban vote goes to Trump. So that's a thing to know as well.
Yeah. So we've spent a long time analyzing this, and so I'm going to get out of this. But I'm going to say one more thing. It's that, this map was it's interesting because back then there were 1.4 million voters who were not voting. And those are the felons who are expected to go for the Democrats in overwhelming numbers. Now, the Florida State Legislature is controlled by the GOP, so they're trying to make it harder, but they can still vote, but it'll just be harder for them. So
yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. So I was reading up on the felon voter issue. So what's going on there is that the governor will require all the felons who want to vote to pay all their court fines so before they could register to vote. So let's say they had a fine for let's suppose they kidnapped someone, something like that. No, that's a serious crime, but they did fraud, for example. Those people would have to pay all their fines before they could register to vote. That's what the state legislature is trying to do.
Yeah, so they're trying to make it harder, but they can still vote. So we're also going to talk about the polling, and don't factor this in too much. But do you remember that the polls, I believe they underestimated Trump.
In our election.
For some reason I was blanking there. So remember, they did underestimate Trump by half of a percentage point. So not like a huge deal, but you factor that in Florida. So right now the polls are very good for Biden. I mean, he has a 6.5% lead, which is bigger than Hillary Clinton ever had in 2016. So I want to pull up RCP polling, and I want to show you guys Florida. Okay, why is Trump versus Clinton? Oh, okay, Clinton. Okay, here I'll have to look it up because I found it earlier. Florida, Trump versus Clinton polls. Oh,
while you're looking that up, I'm just gonna mention a couple things. So we're looking at polling data. So I live here in Florida. I'm a little bit skeptical of them. I mean, are the polls completely wrong? We still don't know. And I just want to mention something. So some people mentioned that Trump realistically only outperformed the polls by 0.8%. But I mean, that's where the polls were at election day, so the polls are going to be a lot more accurate. So when comparing how much of the outperform, I think, and talking about a specific time frame, it's important to look at the polls at the time where we're talking about. So in this case, we'll be talking early August. So I guess about right. Oh, it's not on the map, but we could say
Clinton was ahead by 1.
Yeah. So right now, Biden is outperforming Clinton in the polls. But then we could see that like a couple of months later, we have this month is going to be convention boost. So Republicans will have a convention boost as well as the Democrats.
Yeah. So Hillary Clinton, 6 days from where we are right now, 4 years ago, she was ahead by 1%, and she ended up losing it by 1.2. So that's an 8.8% margin of underestimation for Trump. So what I like to do is Biden's ahead by 6, so we subtract 0.8 from 6, a 5.1% lead for Joe Biden. And I don't think, because that'll be a likely margin, I don't think that that anyone's going to win Florida by a likely margin, because it'll be so. Florida's always close. Like even when the Democrats ran John Kerry and he barely campaigned there, he still got 48% of the vote. So yeah, it'll be close.
This is what I'm going to say on the polls, basing it off of 2012, where and even 2016, when Democrats were supposed to. Well, in 2016, Democrats were supposed to be leading by 3 to 4 points, and you saw
on election day Trump did have the lead. But.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm talking about like direct leading to the election. So I want you to go back to 2016 polls and go up to like this peak right here. So that was before the Comey letters. You would see in Florida, I mean, you would see a lot of Clinton signs, like Clinton Kane. Everyone's like hyped for Clinton Kane. But then, I mean, this time around, I see absolutely nothing. So it doesn't look like Biden's leading by 5%. I mean, it doesn't seem that way just because of voter enthusiasm and things like that. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical of him leading by 5%. Is he leading? Most likely. Again, probably not by a lot. So
yeah, I don't think that he'll win this by 6%. That would be very, very. I would be very surprised if he wins it by 6%. And
if I think Biden has a large reach, I think the polling data would be like a lot more accurate. Like where May started to go to like the May grid. Anywhere from that range, so what 2 points? No, from like 2020. Yeah, like there, like no, a little bit further. Like 2 points looks a lot more realistic. And by the time you get to election day, it would look a lot closer. So
I think it'll narrow up a little bit. So yeah, the polling does put Biden ahead, but again, the polling isn't everything. And the polls weren't horrible in Florida. They were a little bit off, but they weren't horrible. So we're gonna actually.
Yeah, but I mean, though they were so generally speaking, whatever we see in maybe 2 weeks in the polls, they might be extremely wrong considering how in 2016, like 2 weeks from now, like in 2016, so mid-August, the polls were like amazing for Hillary Clinton, so plus like that spike right there. So we might consider a bigger margin of error, for that type of polling. But look, the polls are going to be the most accurate the last day, because even if you factor in maybe like October 31st, so like a day before, like 3 days before, or actually no, the election was November 7th. But the polls were completely off, like the last day of October. I mean, they would have been off by almost like 3 points, like 4 points.
So then, don't take this, like, this is important to look at, but like, by election day, it'll be much more accurate, because again, Biden's not going to win it by 6.
When you're looking at polls right down, don't say that Trump overperformed by 0.8, because that's not what happened. You have to compare them with what happened in 2016 and the time frame we're in right now. So Biden is still leading. I mean, and the lead is considerable considering that I personally haven't seen with my own eyes much support for Biden in Florida.
So as of August 7th, Trump over by 2.2%. So we subtract. So Biden still has the lead, but again, it'll be closer than that.
Yeah. So polls, I mean, not much we can say here. It's just what they are.
Okay. So we're also going to check out President Trump's approval here in Florida. So let's go to Florida. So he has a -9 net approval. I just want to. So yeah. Sorry. I misread that. -5% net approval. So yeah, that's not great. And remember, back here he had a kind of a bad rap. But since then he's been around just 500 in Florida. But he's taken a hit since COVID-19 has started, particularly since Senate coronavirus hearing, which isn't a huge milestone, but it just started expanding there. So
generally speaking, I just want to pull up some of the events. So I want you to look at the graph. So look at January 19. January 19. So like a little bit further. So kind of like in February, we saw somewhat of a large approval rating for Trump in Florida. That was in part because there is so there was a Venezuela problem there that Trump took care of. So I guess that made his approval go up, especially with some of the more Latino voters. And some of the actions, and you can tell what really helps in Florida and what does not. So,
yeah, actually didn't know that, so thanks for telling us. Now, so you have to look at subgroups and demographics. So, let's go to race. Latino, Trump is doing very, very well with them. And overall, let's do let's go back to the to just overall demographics for Latinos. He has a 71% disapproval with them. In Florida, it's better than that.
It's like 60 something.
It is 52%. So he's doing a lot better, like 20 points better nationwide, with Latinos. Or in Florida, he's doing much better with Latinos than nationwide. And also Florida has a lot of Latinos. They're factoring in that nationwide, so it's probably more like 25 points, excluding Florida. So
and look, I would also like to mention that we can see that, of course, the age groups are going to be the age groups. So 18 to 34 and 35 to 49 disapprove of Trump, but the older voters do approve of him. So again, approval ratings. Trump's current approval rating in Florida is actually pretty good considering his nationwide approval, so it's over the national average.
Yeah, it's like 5 points ahead of the national because he has a 40% approval rating. He has a 46? Yeah, so he'll probably. I do think that Florida is going to vote to the right of the country because it'll be tilt Biden. I think the country as a whole is going to vote. Biden's going to win by 5%, something like that. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys this. And
what state? I wonder if you could look up what state right now has the state like that's the closest or the least approved for Trump, that's probably going red, or is
the least, probably Alaska. Probably Montana, because I think Montana's gonna be safe for the GOP, or maybe likely at worst. He also has a pretty bad approval in Texas, but I think Texas is gonna stay with the GOP. And then and then he's actually doing better than you'd expect in what was I gonna say? In Connecticut. Oh, sorry, that's not good. But he's doing actually better, in a lot of places that you wouldn't expect. I remember, on Morning Consult, he was only -5 in Connecticut. But this is different because they update this every day, so it's more accurate. But yeah.
So look, I mean, I would say that honestly, approval ratings are not a good indicator. I mean, because generally speaking, most presidents do have an approval rating of just anywhere from the mid to low 40s. So that's where Trump is currently at. And I mean, generally speaking, there's a lot of Republican states or states that are trending Republican that are disapproving of Trump. And I mean, nationwide, that's general sentiment.
Including Montana and Alaska. I don't buy that Trump's going to win Montana by, 15 points, something like that. And he'll win Alaska by double digits. So let's talk about 2018. In the Democrats, they lost a Senate seat here in 2018. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is much longer than the Arizona video. But basically, Rick Scott. I'll let Purple take this over in a minute, but Rick Scott, he was the popular former governor going against the incumbent Senator Bill Nelson, and I actually told him about this earlier. I think this is kind of similar to the Senate race we're seeing in Montana this time around because, Nelson is in the place of Daines because they're both, Nelson wasn't unpopular, he was not too popular either, and then Scott was a very popular governor, and he actually ended up flipping the seat. It was very narrow, but yeah. And I also want to go over to the governor race, which was actually a pretty big shocker. I thought Gillibrand was going to win it, but he ended up losing it to DeSantis, even though he was ahead in the polling. So the polls were pretty inaccurate in this race, although they were more accurate in the Senate race. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Just quickly, I just wanted to mention like two major things. So yeah, what he said about Rick Scott being a popular governor, it's a similar effect that you're going to see in Montana. Now, with Latino turnout, I want you to pay attention. So I don't know if you still have the presidential tab open.
No, I do.
But can you please, if you want to go there first, go to Florida, go to Miami-Dade County. We saw that Donald Trump only won there, or he actually lost the county, 34% to 63%. There's less third-party votes. So now I want you to go back to the Senate map. 5% approval, 5% improvement for Scott in that race, and then in the governor's race, where it was both people who were in like statewide politics, 39% for DeSantis. So there was a 5-point improvement in the midterms for the Republican Party in these southern Florida counties. Which 5 points, if Trump can improve by that, which I don't think he will. I think he will do a little bit less. 5 points is easily 150,000 votes, which is a lot of votes.
And that'll probably be enough because Florida's going to be very close. So if he improves by 5%, I guarantee you Florida's going to be going red this November. Alright, so I do want to talk about the House of Representatives, and so I'm infamous for mispronouncing her name. It's Debbie Merciful Powell, I believe. No, Merciful
Debbie
Powell.
Merciful Powell.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But, and then Donna Shalala. So I believe Shalala is in the 26th district, or I'm wrong, right?
No, she's on the 27th. So I would just want to explain these two are the most contested districts this time around.
They flipped in
I want to explain a little bit of the demographics a little bit and talk about them quickly. So just want to start by 26. So this district encompasses most of the southern Florida suburbs south of Miami, as well as all of the Keys. So we can see that a big part. So there's like this big area called Homestead. That's like a big suburb of Miami that's closer to the Keys. So this district has a lot of immigrants, for the most part, and it encompasses a lot of the Everglades as well. And you have all the Key, which is pretty much all beach towns, and people that live there have lived there for the most part for their whole lives. That really does help the Democrats, the demographics. Now, here's the thing. This election is, I think it's this one. Can you go to if there's like the one about the race this time around? Because I'm pretty sure that incumbent Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez, who is actually pretty popular, is running for, I think, the 26th congressional district.
I'll pull up the ballot.
He might be running for Donald Shalala's seat. I'm not sure.
Ballotpedia FL 26 shows you the candidates. Okay, so we got to pull up the candidates. So I actually wasn't prepared. Okay, so 20. Okay, so yeah, you were right.
Carlos Jimenez.
Yeah, so he's running.
So yeah, he's running for that district, which really does help the Republican Party's chances at flipping the district.
So do you think it flips? Or just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I don't think it flips, but it's going to be a lot closer. It has a possibility of flipping just because Carlos Jimenez is so popular a little bit, so that really is help. And I mean, looking at the demographics of this district, it's 86.3% white, mostly Hispanic, so that's going to be interesting to see. And then quickly go over to the last district.
27th.
So this is a district that's very interesting because this is a very urban district. So this district encompasses big parts of Miami downtown, and it also encompasses a very big part. So you see right there, Miami Beach. So that's a pretty wealthy part of Miami, as well as Coral Gables. That's where the University of Miami is. So this district is probably going to stay with Donna Shalala, just because she's a famous figure in the district. She serves as president for a long time. She's well known around the community, and generally speaking, this is an area where there is somewhat it's urban areas plus somewhat of the richer suburbs.
All right, so
as well as also the ethnic neighborhoods of Miami.
I think I stopped sharing. That's okay, my bad. Yeah, so so House overview. So two seats did flip to the Democrats in 2018. But I think that that they're both probably going to stay with the Democrats, although the 26th does have a real possibility of flipping. So JHK forecast gives Joe Biden an 82% chance of winning, basically 82.5% chance of winning Florida. And remember, back in March, Trump had a 54% chance of winning Florida. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's a little bit less of the chances of victory for Biden, but I think it definitely shows that Biden is ahead of the state. And I'm still like a little skeptical because like of the enthusiasm question. Nonetheless, I mean, Biden is leading that. At least that's what the statistics show. So,
yes, the projected vote is that Biden actually wins by 5 points, which would be very interesting. I don't think he's going to win by 5. I think he'll win by something like 1.5.
If he is actually winning by 5 points, I mean, you would see super big enthusiasm everywhere. So that's currently a thing we're not seeing. Yeah. I mean, I would shy away from saying that he will definitely win by 5 points, but I think he will win. If he does win by Florida, I think he would definitely win at least 3 points or less.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up, and it's definitely possible for Trump to win, but as of right now, with this analysis, I can project that I think Florida will go to the Democratic Party. So let's move that away out of here. Okay, so yeah. So Democrats at 252, GOP at 125. So I want to thank Purple for joining us. He's currently at 306 subscribers at the time of this recording. Can we get him to 310? So if you're subscribed to me and not subscribed to him, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're a fan of his channel and watching this on my channel, I do hope you'll give me a chance to subscribe to me. So I want to thank you for joining this podcast with us about the Purple and the viewers, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye.
Bye.